Steph.
Looks just like that. Slow moving first point, a lot of stoppage here. You're right, the nerves are high. Everybody's got that 5 months of preparation all coming into play right now, and it's showing a bit of the nerves. Let's see how they continue on.
So a nice yard gainer coming towards this near sideline for Janovets. So I'm back to Chibula. Nice. They're getting a lot of love with these inside-out flicks across the pitch. Now doing the right thing there, just isolating a reset. They're not looking particularly fluid here for Slovakia, but they are retaining possession. Turning it in on that far sideline, but there's going to be a stoppage here on a travel.
Just trying to recognize their upfield here. They're not quite vertical, not quite horizontal. They are generating space on these resets. They're getting upfield and stretching, but they do need to tidy up their upfield set to get some cleaner options.
So Cibula finds Svarts downfield, and now into the middle with Benetka. He's been doing a lot of handling work for this line. Oh, and just a simple drop underneath. Was maybe thinking about the next pass, and this just slid out of his grasp.
Clap catch, those ones hurt.
Gusars picks up for the Latvians. Brunans has it on the near side. Into the middle, finds Otisons. Latvians getting the disc moving nice and quickly. Try not to let that stall count get too high. Going to try and squeeze it down the line. Looking at the back of the end zone. Can he tow it in bounds? Well-weighted pass, and the Latvians break on the first point. Took them a little bit of time to get the turn, but that D-line offense looked in fine form early on. 1-0 to Latvia.
Great first point for the Latvians. Very patient defense. They weren't bidding, but they were playing their game, working hard to retain the unders. Slovaks didn't have any options for the deeps, or weren't ready to attack it anyways. And Latvia on the slowly but surely to get it back, and then very clean break on the attacking side of that disc. Once they get the disc back, 5 throws, 6 throws, and they made it all count. Ottisons with the goal.
You talked about in our little pre-game how the fact that Latvia has made more of a name for themselves on the club stage of recent years. A large core of this team is formed by Salas-Spills, Wild Things, and they've been competing together as a club team for about a decade. But this core of this team has been playing together since the last EUC cycle back in 2015. That was out in... I've drawn a blank. Where was EUC 2015?
It's a question we're going to have to get back to you on.
It was... You know, I've completely drawn a blank. That'll come to me. But also they were in Copenhagen, thank you, and WUGC in London in 2016 as well. And we've seen them cause big, really make a name for themselves internationally on the club scene. Salas-Spills were in the Windmill final in the mixed division last year. A couple of years ago, they beat Clapham in pool play at EUCF as well. So they're a team that, when they're playing at their top level, really can threaten some teams on this international stage.
1-0 for them right now.
So that's a really deep pull for the Latvians, pinning Slovakia right at the back of their own end zone. And this is Callahan country now.
Certainly is.
You can see the Latvians, they're like a shark, sensing blood in the water, swarming, stall count rising, just about gets a dish off to pretty much somehow even further back. There is not a lot of room, and just a hand block. You can see how pumped the Latvians are. As soon as that pull hung, they were motoring down.
Ottisons with the block there. He got the goal on the other side as well.
Having himself a game early on.
Known for his blazing speed. Those shoes certainly sell that to me.
Podgorskis with a little cheeky flip into the end zone.
Looked like an offhand backhand there. Made it look very, very casual. Slovakia with a sloppy turnover, but just playing in high pressure area. They've got their backs up against the wall early. You can tell here against the Latvians, and that pull really sold that pressure there. They played in Callahan country, and they couldn't really take the heat.
And something that I've always noticed, and has always irked me a little bit when watching Ultimate, is teams who don't practice pulling strategies effectively, because the one thing that's guaranteed to happen on every point is either you're going to make the pull or you're going to receive the pull. So it's something that every team should drill in their arsenal. And so having a good, and we saw there just the pressure that having a great pull can be. pin them right at the back of the end zone, get the team down ready, so there's no easy option immediately. And the Slovakians looked like they were a bit worried, and so everyone clamped in. Pretty much the entirety of the team was within 5 meters of the end zone, and that means there's no space for anyone.
That's exactly it. They either didn't have a plan or they gave up on the plan, and I may agree with you that the plan was not there, because nothing should change catching it in the back of your end zone versus on the goal line or the brick mark. Set up your offense, get your flanks, something upfield, whether it's your horo look or your vertical look or your split stacks or whatever, but set it up and stick to the plan.
So Slovaks trying to get the disc moving a little bit more quickly this time. Nice pass into the middle of the field. And really gaining yards now are the Slovaks. Ogorchak shooting for the end zone. Oh, this is going to sit, and is he going to be able to keep it in bounds? Nice defensive pressure from Emils Elksnitis. He's going to mack it out the back, and the Latvians get another turn.
That defensive effort needs a bit more recognition. He was well beat. The throw was out, going to go at the back, and that did have the Slovakian receiver doubting his position, but the defender there was out of position when that disc went up, and he came back and took it away.
Something they've put in their little player surveys is that he used to be a sprinter and do athletics, and now he's the fastest player on the team. So maybe he's just sitting, he's letting that deep go, baiting it a bit, trusting himself to make up the ground. Nice IO to the aforementioned Elksnitis. Taking the reset, looking very calm. Williamsons. Oh, a miscommunication. Can they keep it alive? Not quite. This is great field position now. The best they've had it for Slovakia.
Goal line look, end zone look.
Every team should have a couple of end zone plays in their locker. Let's see what they can pull out. Looks like isolating a couple of players at the front of the zone. Maybe trying to get a break free. And there's a blow and switch downfield. Left Haas wide open, and the Slovaks get their first point of the game, but they're still trailing the Latvians by 2-1.
And not even the cleanest of catches there. It did good to get it, but kind of bobbled, hit off the chin and back into the hands there. Slovaks get away with one there. They're on the board. They're in it. Only down 2-1, but a fortunate as far as they're concerned, that miscommunication by the Latvians, that the throw looked like it was on if the swing kept his eyes on the disc.
I mean, as a North American, you'll be familiar with Yankees legend coach Yogi Berra,
yes,
who was well known for his yogisms, his turns of phrase. And one of my favorites of his is that it's funny: the harder I practice, the luckier I get. And so sometimes stuff that seems like luck is actually, you say, oh, it's just a simple miscommunication on a reset. It's unlucky, but it has to be the reset because there's good defensive pressure elsewhere, for example.
The stuff of legend, Yogi Berra, Benji Reese, Slovakia, Latvia, it's all happening. 4th point of the game, Hull will settle for Latvia.
And this is the first time we're going to see the Latvian O-line, the talismanic Orlovskis wizard now. Breaks around, he finds Bernans. Bernans tries to lash it through the middle of the pitch. Defender slips down, but Barkovsky had good position on the throw. Never really had enough height on it, and going right through the teeth of the defense, just got chomped down on.
Yeah, I think he didn't get his balance set by the time he turned around. He caught that, and he was still on the backhand side and just whipped over to the forehand and didn't get everything behind it.
So Slovakia now with a break chance could tie us back up. Not a lot going on downfield, but they're finally getting a gainer even on that far sideline. Really trapping it and forcing it down that forced sideline, but the throw's a little bit off there, and you can see Bernan's motor off deep.
That's the thing with the jamming it up the jam hole there, that you get less margin for error, and in that case they slipped.
It's Gusar, sorry. It's Tarenis putting it deep, and putting it deep on the money as well for Yanis Bernans. And the Latvians didn't do it cleanly, but they do get their first hold. And the president of the Latvian Flying Disc Federation scores to make it 3-1.
Latvians giving them a few opportunities here and there. That errant throw almost cost them another one, but the Slovakians not able to capitalize. They had an error on their own, trying to play it up that line in short space. Latvians come back and a big shot. That's our first real successful deep shot of the game. And that will get the Slovakian defense guessing for the next few anyways, whether they really can commit to the unders or if they've got to tighten up, stay a little bit further behind, and be wary of what can bite them behind.
Yeah, something that you see a lot of teams try early on is those deep shots, because if they do come off, it's always playing in that defender's mind. You know that you can't surrender that. And this is a Latvian team that does have a bit of a propensity to put it deep. We've seen Salaspils do that on the club stage, and I remember back at EUC a couple of years ago, there was a decent core of this team there, and they were a team that surprised a lot of people because of that potent deep game. So number 23 for Latvia, Didzis Malderis is going to pull. Going for the spin pull, getting a lot of height on this. It's going to float for an eternity, and that's going to allow the Latvians to get right down on the pull. It's going to land just in front of the defending brick mark. Svarts with a low throw, goes down to his knees. Well caught though by Hajduk.
Continued around.
Trying to get it all, but well read, and oh, he slips, but he got away with it.
Bit of a case of play the disc, not the man there. The Slovakian receiver saw his defender got in front and was just trying to win the jump off instead of trying to read the disc better.
Yeah, if he trusted his own read a bit better, as you said, he might have had a shot at that one when it looked like it, for all the wide, it was going to be gobbled up. Poach finds Otisons. Swung into the middle. Nice around break there. Podgorskis tries to shoot deep. It's low and flat, and there's a bit available. Woo! Nice catch. Just on the end zone line. Tries to force it in. Maybe just going to show a little bit more discretion, and they're just going to play it around the back before Otisons gets another goal. There will be, I think, a stoppage here on a pick. But that was a great bid from the number 30 shirt.
Saulit. He's just on the roster. I think he was part of the practice squad, and they've had an injury to number 4, Jorgesons. So Saulite steps in, and that's not a bad way to step into the team. First touch is a layout grab on the goal line.
It's a pretty good way to make a name for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, not a bad way. I mean, milk it another meter further, and it's just that much better. But not bad at all.
Semi-skimmed rather than full fat milk, that. So just going to be a little bit more cautious now. Aboltinch takes the swing, finds Podgorskis. Oh, look at the lefty! Little bit of flair, but the pick going back.
Beautiful cheeky throw. Pick, of course, there's a lot of traffic there, but the offhand, the over the shoulder, and just the nonchalant swagger that he used to release that. See what he does this time.
Couldn't have put it better myself, Steph. So they're just going to reset it. Being very calm. Maldonis burns up line. That one's going to count. Latvia break once more to take a 4-1 lead.
Dzidzis Maldaris with a little bird dance there, celebration. Latvia really looking stronger here. The longer this game goes on, the more I think this is going to be a one-sided affair. We see the Slovakians taking an early timeout. Wise at this stage, they can feel the momentum slipping away as well, I suppose.
Yeah, giving up a couple of points on the bounce. Still plenty of time in this game, so they're thinking, let's just take a time to reset our heads. Obviously, it's still early on in the day. It's just gone 9:30 local time, but there still is very hot in the high 20s out there, so always good as well to get some hydration on board as well.
Hydration, set up the next point for the Slovakians. We've got into this one. We're 5 points in. Put our teeth into the game. We've seen what we've done wrong. Let's set up our next offensive attack. Reset the mentality and do this 1 point at a time. It's the only way you're going to chip into this game. As we said, the Slovakians simply want to improve on their seeding, do better than last place. It's not all good. It's a long tournament for them. First game, they got to learn a lot, and they got to learn and take that with them to the next game, to the next day. And the more they can break this down into bite-sized pieces, 1 point at a time, use the timeout, reset, the more likely they will be to be able to steal a game or two in this tournament and avoid that wooden spoon.
You can see the coach giving some instructions to his team, just having a little talk about what we can do to adjust, what adaptations we can make. The coach Jakub Hadik for the Slovaks just giving some final instructions. The Latvians broken their huddle already. They're keen, they're eager to get going.
Here the 15 seconds call. Slovaks not quite on the line yet. They're using the entirety of this timeout for now, while Latvia, as you said, are on the line and ready.
Eager to go, and that's something that you always want to see, is teams with that energy and that desire really look like they're enjoying themselves out there.
This Latvian team doing a little bit of reading up on them. Had a quick chat with their captain, Taurenis, before the game. It says here they do a little bit of Swedish league play and played in the Swedish league stages so that they could work on their tactics and try out new options for this tournament, for this season. The specifics of what they're using, I wasn't able to get into that with them in the quick chat we had. Game one, day one is always a battle to get going.
Yeah, maybe keep your cards a little bit close to your chest as well for the later stages of this tournament. Another big pull from the Latvians, pin Slovakia back in their own end zone once more. Going to be a different look now, just sagging off those handlers slightly. Foursome's taking short options, but they found the poach player very nicely. Now Stankovic has it, thinks about the deep shot, winds up, but the throw blades. Oh, tries to catch it, bubbles up. But Abeltinch gets away with it and gets the disc moving quickly now for the Latvians. Fakes the big and gets the defender sold all the way down the river.
Breaking ankles.
Is Williamson's going to sit one up. The defender looks like he has position. Oh, it pops up over his head and into the very grateful hands, it probably has to be said, of the 28th cert of
Rastins.
Well, I know we said that you make your own luck, but that's a little fortunate for the Latvians.
Absolutely. The 28 shirt came out of nowhere. Garbage man, as you say, picking up the trash. He's doing his job. You got to follow that play, but obviously not the intended receiver there. I think the defender did quite a good job. The intended receiver had a slip at the last minute when he still could have got it over the primary defender's head. But because of the slip, that looked like it was going to turf. And out of nowhere, Rastins to the rescue. And the Latvians plow on another, up by 4, 5-1 to Latvia.
We saw with that deep look from the Slovaks that the wind's picked up a little bit here. Now we're a little bit sheltered in our commentary position, but you could really see how the wind just took that and it bladed the throw in him, and it never really had a chance to get to that intended deep receiver.
The left to right on your screen when we're facing center, and gusty. It's coming and it's going, so even more difficult. The gusty situations, you can kind of, when you've got consistent wind, even when you're throwing into the upwind, you can kind of compensate. You know what you're into. It's coming, it's ready. But with these gusts, the coming and going, it makes the thrower's decision-making process that much more difficult to know how much to put on it.
Yeah, you really need to make sure you keep your form and your technique when you're throwing in these gusty conditions, as you mentioned. And there's a couple of volunteers on the far sideline trying to hang up some sponsorship banners, maybe having a tougher time of it than they would have done 10, 15 minutes ago now that this wind has picked up a little bit. Slovaks attack the ball, and Cibula takes the swing. Rubiak underneath.
Great catch.
Hajduk looks around, sees an option, waits a little bit to pull the trigger. Banans gets in there a little bit late, not contested. good spirit there. Nice, good use of hand signals as well, making sure that everyone knows quickly and clearly what's going on. Svarts looking for an option, not really seeing it. Lovely inside flick to the middle of the field, though.
Breaking the face marks.
Just getting it beyond the defender. Back to Cibula. So I'm back to Svarts. Done a lot of the leg work. Getting a lot of love with those inside forehands. Just about squeaks that one too to the front of the end zone. Janovec finds a man wide open, Jakub Banetka. Slovaks get their second point on the board, but they still trail 5-2.
Good looking possession. Their best looking possession, I'd say, on that short part of the field anyways. To beat the face mark, kind of opened things up, and then after that, a couple isolation situations. Found the man at the right time, was patient on the scoring throw there, waited for the outside to finish the fake cut, and got him coming back to the center, wide open, good patience, good throwing, good cutting. Hopefully that's a taste of what's more to come for the Slovaks.
So they're getting quite a lot of yardage with those inside forehands. If you're that Latvian defense, how do you adjust to stop that?
I guess it's the concentration on the mark is one, to make sure you really hold them to the open side. Don't even let the centers up, that low hand, quick on your feet. The coverage is tougher. I mean, to take away the under, stay inside. Keep your head on a swivel is what they say, to avoid getting into face mark situations where your back is to the disc. So a little bit of those personal marking and defensive strategies, but I don't think team defense needs to change too much because of it.
So Latvians come out with a side stat look, trying to isolate Orlovskis on the far sideline. Oh, the throw just gets taken by the wind. Tried to get an inside-out shape on it and just motored away out of this near sideline.
Seemed like there was way too much on it. You're right, the wind probably did get a look at the underside of that with the inside-out angle he put on it, but too much out in the end. Out, as us Canadians say, no doubt about it. That was out.
I love your strange Canadian-Australian twang. Oh, just a complete miscommunication on that swing.
Well, that's an easy-looking possession for Latvia now. Goal line offense, end zone offense.
Going to walk it, march it to the front of the end zone. Cutters worm their way free and then wide open, getting the disc at the front of the end zone. Number 46, Igor Zminovs, and Latvia probably won't have an easier possession all tournament, getting it right on the front of the end zone line. One
throw possession, 1 meter throw. You're right. I don't think they're gonna. If they're gonna get one any easier than that, I'd like to hear about it. The Slovak, very similar miscommunication that the Latvians had about 4 points ago. From the inbound, the throw looked good if the intended receiver kept his eyes on the disc. He kind of gave up a half second before that disc was put in the air, and as he turned his head, well, we saw what happened. The disc hit the turf there, and Latvia got a 0 meter possession.
And you understand the thinking there from Slovakia. Get the disc into the middle of the pitch, make it easy to attack both sides of the field, really use that full width, but the handler's just not on the same page that time. So 6-2, Latvia lead. Games played to 15 here at the European Ultimate Championships. Half-time happens at 8 points. So Latvians still a couple of points away from that at the moment. We have our scorekeepers giving those little 2 whistles to let players know when their time limits are elapsing on between points. All the volunteers and scorekeepers here do a vital job at all these tournaments.
Incredible job, vital job. All of this stuff, all the action these 55 different teams are into. It's such a huge production. From the organizing committee all the way down to the staff, the volunteers, every single person is necessary to pull something like this off, an event of this capacity. And so far, so good. Obviously, some snags come with every event, but this one seems to be off on the right foot. And if nothing else, the weather's keeping keeping it seeming incredible.
So a different look defensively here from the Latvians, zoning them up slightly, just trying to sit underneath of their defenders, try and pass players off downfield.
It's exactly what it is, Benji. They're kind of switching in and out. It's not quite a zone. Flying body there. Love seeing the horizontal action from Podgorskis in the Latvian shirt.
I don't think he got any of the disc, but he certainly did enough to flash across the receiver's eye line, make him just lose his focus a little bit, and the disc sails past and picking up right on the halfway line. Latvia wants it all in one, but this is going to sit. There's a massive humanity underneath it, and somehow coming up with it. Williamson, I did not even think was in the play, but there was a lot of contact under there, and there is going to be a foul call.
Foul called. I'd have to have another look at what happened in that massive humanity there. I cannot believe the disc got past those four hands without a touch and eventuated into the trailer's hands for what may be a goal, or may, by the looks of things, it's going to go back.
Eventuated. That's a fantastic word.
Williamsons was the one, is the man with the disc in hand right now.
So we can see the players engaged in discussion, just trying to work out exactly what happened. Contact in those situations is almost a little bit inevitable, and it's going to be a contested foul in the end. And often there's an attitude that a contested foul is a bad result, but a lot of the times when there's that much going on under the disc, it's pretty difficult to find out exactly what happened. So sometimes just sending it back is the best option.
It's the right thing to do. When it's not concrete, if there's a bit of disagreement for more than 10 seconds, 15 seconds, you haven't worked it out, that means that your perspectives are that far enough off and the rule is that too close to tell. Let's try it again. Let's see how we go the second time around.
So the wind definitely picking up a bit now. And we're seeing it on some of these deeper throws. And that time they're just going to take an underneath pass. Ottisons has been all over the pitch in the early going. Lovely lead throw to the break side. Here's Malderis. Fakes the around backhand. I thought it could have gone. Takes the inside. Flick instead. A laser of a throw.
Ziz Malderis. That's a couple stats for him on the game already. Great backhand. I think he's recreating it right now with his teammate. This is what I did. I gave the backhand and then I whipped back over for that scintillating forehand break. We saw Zizi's Malderis, I did anyways, at EUC. He was playing with the Russian club team there, Lucky 5.
Real 5.
Real 5, thank you for the help on that. He got to win himself a EBUCC championship, and now playing with his home country, getting some goals as well.
Yeah, he's a player who's it's a young player who's, well, we'll say he's confident in his own ability. We'll put it that way. He backs himself to get blocks. He backs himself in the air. He backs himself with his throws, and actually that's something that I think is shared by quite a lot of this Latvian team. They're a team that they're a bit of a confidence team. When things aren't going so well, they can get a bit frustrated, knowing that they can play better. But when they're on form and when they're on their game, they can be really tough to stop.
And they do have that confidence right now. I'm starting to get a feeling like it's going to be hard to stop them. We're just getting our scoreboard up to snuff. It is 7-2 for the Latvians now. Really pulling away. The Slovaks got those early goals. One on a short field from an unfortunate turn. And since then, they've been looking just a little flat-footed on their attack. They've got to find a spark. They've got to open up their cuts a little earlier. They've got to come back to their structure. And it's really getting it off the sidelines for them has proven to be a problem. We've seen a couple turnovers, a couple high stall counts. They've got to get the arounds, work off the pivot, get it to the center, and then play with the structure that you've been hoping to use.
We saw Latvia come out in that zone defense last time, and I think it took Slovakians a little bit too long to adjust. And with the wind picking up a bit more, especially going in this direction, would not surprise me to see the Latvians come out with either the same or a different zone look again.
It was an interesting zone look. I mean, I don't think it was a. I think it was a very high communication style defense where they were just switching players. Those that were playing the unders were back to the disc and face marking their players, and they had the advantage of looking beyond the marked player to their secondary defender filling the deep space to be able to communicate and guide them lefts and rights to take away throwing lanes. Latvians will be in the all advantageous situation. We've seen two big pulls with two big chase downs anyways that were in that Callahan country. They're pulling from the right side to see another potential for that. Let's see how we go.
And this pull from Madares is going to pin them deep once more and just have a little too much on it. The wind just scooted it out the back of the end zone at the last minute. So the Slovaks will ring it in from the brick mark. That was very, very close to being right at the back of the end zone.
Less than a meter difference.
Well, Ultimate is a game of fine margins. Easy for me to say.
Indeed it is.
David Ogorchak is going to bring the disc in from the brick mark.
Good headband action.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
A whole lot of violations here. The mark, I think, started counting and maybe even bumped before he set his pivot foot.
Yeah, it was just one step shy of getting to the brick mark.
Very eager Latvian defense.
You can see that they're itching to get some more blocks out there.
Now I like a headband, but I don't know about the colorway there. Yellow and red on the blue, red and white uniform. It's just, you know, you
doesn't quite match up for you,
especially when you're in your national colors.
So Ogorchak takes the swing. Trying to laser down the far sideline, and it's a touch too far out in front. Too hot to handle for Martin Ulik.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. Here come Latvia looking to break.
Podgorskis brings the disc in.
Clean stack, one flank.
Nice little slap of hands on the mark. Disc brought in for the Latvians. Shot deep. Oh, he's got acres of space and acres of time. And Maldaris having himself a game early on here. The Latvians will break once more to take an 8-2 half-time lead.
Dzidzis Maldaris. I think that was an isolation. I think that was the play. Let's send Dzidzis deep. Everybody stay tight in the stack. Throw came from sideline to sideline, so he did have all sorts of room. The throw did have to be on point, and it was.
Oh, it was beautifully weighted.
And because of it, it was made to look very, very easy. But not as easy as they make it look. That required some blazing speed from Maldaris and a pinpoint shot from the far sideline.
And we've definitely seen throws towards this near sideline take that wind and go too far out of bounds, and that time just had the right trajectory, the right shape on it for it to hold its line enough for Maldaris to make the clap catch for the goal and the 8-2 half-time lead.
So at 8-2, we see both teams retreating for some shade. Not in abundance here with all this Hungarian sun, but there is some. In the meantime, we're taking a look at our schedule. Thank you all for joining us, of course, on Fan Seat here, the Alti TV production. We've got a full slate of games today, some that you'll get on the Facebook, YouTube page, and some that you'll get as a Fan Seat subscriber. But right now on the other feed, we've got some hot action. Germany, Russia in the mixed division. Those are two hot contenders that we suspect we'll see at the pointy end of this tournament.
Yeah, a lot of people had those two in their semi-finals in Ulti World's Picks contest.
So our next set of fixtures, we've got Finland, Ukraine in the men's division, and then Poland and Belarus in the mixed division. I'll be bringing that one to you as well.
Yeah, you're staying here with Joanne Hamer, who's joining us for the first time this week, which I'm very excited about.
As am I.
And then later on in the 1:15 local time game round, so a few hours away from now, mixed division action from the stadium between Ireland and Denmark. I'm going to be back here for Hungary versus Lithuania, the hosts taking on Lithuania in another pool play game. At 3:15, women's action for the first time all day, Ireland versus Ukraine on this pitch. In the stadium, we've got Germany versus Italy in the men's division. And then finally, in the last round of the day, you're going to be back here doing Austria-Germany women's, which will be a pretty good game. And I'm going to be joining Hannah in the stadium for Netherlands versus Czech Republic in the women's division.
Lots of exciting action. You all know where to find it, right here on your device, on your laptop, in your home, wherever you're streaming from Fanseed and Alti TV. But don't miss a minute of the action. Stay tuned, share with your friends. And get involved, get engaged, comment. Let us know what you feel like, how lovely you feel this broadcast is, and of course, how wonderful or not so much you feel like the action on the field is. We always want to know.
Yeah, if you're watching at home, you can get in there are plenty of ways of getting in contact with us. You can use the hashtag EUC2019 on Twitter. You can find me on there at Benjamin Reese, and as well as that, I highly recommend you follow the alti.tv Instagram page, where we're going to be tweeting a little bit of or Instagram storying a little bit of behind the scenes action, and just a kind of more of the general colour of the tournament.
General colour of the tournament.
General
See
colour.
What is happening behind the scenes. Speaking of behind the scenes, there's been some exciting rumblings going on, some breaking news, I suppose, though it's just coming to surface. An Alti League is looking for expressions of interest to see if it's something worth pursuing, I suppose. So have a look. I think it's being shared around. I've got to get to the bottom of it, find out a little bit more, and see what excitement this Alti League has in store for us, Benji.
Yeah, ultileague.net, I understand, is the place to find all the action. And you talk about the fact there's a lot of news going on around as well. Announced yesterday, the WFDF, the World Flying Disc Federation, published the list of bids to the World Ultimate and Guts Championships, which are going to take place next year in Leeuwarden in the Netherlands. And there's a couple of teams here who are fighting, 5 teams fighting it out for 3 qualification spots in the men's division. So the top 3 finishers out of Ireland, Finland, the Czech Republic, Poland, and the Netherlands will take those final 3 WUGC bids.
And crazy news coming in the last minute, literally the day before play. The EUF making decisions that are very fair and necessary, but last minute indeed. Some of the teams in a bit of disarray, trying to find a way to save themselves a qualification position, the WUGC slot that they didn't think that this tournament was going to be hinging on before they arrived. But regardless of what their initial anticipation was, that is the situation right now. Win or don't represent.
Yeah, not that you necessarily need any more motivation when you're at a European Championship, but there's just a little bit extra spice for you for some of those teams that are going to be competing at the World Ultimate and Guts Championships next year in Leeuwarden in the Netherlands, which I'm very excited about.
I mean, I'm very excited about every Ultimate tournament, as are you, Benji, I know.
Yep.
We
Guilty
froth
as
on
charged.
this stuff. Everybody watching froths just the same. We know a lot of the players will froth on these games after the fact. They'll get to watch too, but it's just getting bigger and better, this sport, with every new year. I've had over 20 years involvement in this game, and to see the difference, even coming from a big North American Ultimate city over 20 years ago to what's happening worldwide now, it's impressive and very reassuring to know that this beast is getting bigger and stronger with every year of action.
Yeah, it is an absolute honour to be able to bring you coverage from the European Ultimate Championships 2019 here from Dieu in Hungary. Benji Reese alongside Steph Rapazzo. An absolute delight to bring you what is a contest between Latvia and Slovakia that isn't necessarily that tight at the moment, but we've seen some flashes of brilliance from both sides.
more flashes from Latvia. Latvia's been good, I think. The Slovaks had those flashes in the early going that they weren't able to generate momentum from. They had flashes. Latvia used their early flashes, and they've generated some excellent momentum. We see Maldaris on the sideline. He has been one of the key contributors for the Latvians so far, as has Ottisons, the two of them with a couple stats each, throwing goals. Ottison doing it with the legs, a speedy man. That beard not slowing him down one bit of wind resistance.
Thank you for joining us here in Győr. Whether you're watching maybe in Latvia or Slovakia, whether you're elsewhere in the world, be that in Europe or watching intercontinentally, thank you very much for joining us, whether you're watching on fanseat.com or whether you're watching on the EUF YouTube or Facebook pages. Thanks for tuning in, and we are back underway in Hungary for the second half as that ball rolls out of bounds, and Betmanis is going to bring it in for Latvia, another player with a resplendent beard.
Magnificent face mane.
A little bit of a defensive switch here from Slovakia. Maybe with the rising wind, they're going to try something different at the throw it at the Latvians, see what will happen. Oh, nice little scuba over the top.
Didn't clear it by much,
but it did clear it, and that's what will matter for the Latvians. Bonanz is a player who's not afraid to take those overheads, and he's executing them brilliantly so far. Little offhand to Betmanis. Oh, he wants the blade all the way to the far side. This is going to sit, and in the end, just the body position was perfect from Minovs. Clap catch right in the chest.
Got to thank your receiver for that one. He threw to a pairing he may have liked, but receiver made good with a 50-50 shot there. Throw probably ill-advised in most situations.
And it's something that you don't normally see when the disc goes up, is someone making the catch at chest height, but that just shows the importance there of body positioning. Got himself in such a place where there was no way the defenders could come around him without causing contact, and then he could watch it all the way right into the breadbasket.
And a big body. Can't coach that. Minovs, a big man, takes up a lot of space vertically and horizontally as well. He's got some big shoulders. Tough to work around him.
So, nice clean hole to start the second half for the Latvians. That zone look from Slovakia didn't really slow them down too much, showing that they're pretty happy throwing those overheads even in those conditions. And those are probably the shots that they wanted the Latvians to take, but they took them, and they took them with aplomb. So Latvia getting ready to play their first D point of the second half. It's going to be our first look in this second stanza at the Slovakian O-line. So the man of the moment, Zidzis Malderis, will pull for Latvia, and this is going to sit and float once more.
He's the only Zidzis I've ever known. And I don't know him, I just know his name at this stage, but wonderful name.
I think a lot more people are going to know his name pretty soon.
If he keeps playing the way he's been. Oh, goodness!
What a layout bid from Tom's Abeltinch. The throw was low, and he was a little bit trailing behind, but he exploded out of the traps to get that layout block.
Did he ever launch his body in that horizontal position? Fantastic.
Williamson's just a little upline pass to Gussars. Oh, this is going to be a bit floaty and too far. The wind just tipped it out of this sideline. It looked like it was going to be a chance at a pretty spectacular bookends for Abeltinch.
As spectacular as you get, if you finish your play with a layout hammer grab after a layout D, I don't think bookends get any better than that.
And you can tell he was kind of steadying himself for it, but he never got the chance to.
Maybe he wants two layout Ds on the same point before he gets the bookend.
So Slovakia swinging it around the back to start this possession.
They've got huge developing cuts, and when they can beat their man under, they look okay, but the positioning is difficult, and miscommunication there, Benji.
Again, just not singing from the same hymn sheet. Was looking at his reset, but didn't really have the eye contact, and just a simple upline throw finds Jasukovic.
Into a pretty tight space in the end there. They got the turn in the short field, and they capitalized very quickly, but the throwing score, as you saw there, was under duress, under tight defense, and they got away with one there. We would have liked that one to end on the hammer goal, a possession earlier, but Latvia, I'm sure, satisfied one way or the other to collect their 10th goal.
Yeah, that's the first. We've seen the Slovakians turn themselves a fair bit. That's the first real big block that I think that we've seen from the Latvians. They've been very good at putting enough pressure just to force Slovakian errors, but that's the first time they've really gone out and wrestled the disc away from them. And what a bit as well it was from the Abeltinch. So Williamsons has the disc now for Latvia, getting ready to pull. 10-2 up over Slovakia here in this men's pool play matchup here at the European Ultimate Championships 2019.
Where is it again?
Dieu.
Thank you, Benji. I had forgotten for a moment.
I'm hopefully by the end of the weekend I'll get it down. My current tactic is to just try and pretend to be an air horn.
Yeah.
Dieu. That's, I think, is the best I've got so far.
That helps me a little bit too. Thanks for your internal advice. Latvians pulling in that advantageous position with the wind at their back, but no Callahan country yet. Slovakia managed to get it out of their end with ease.
So now the Slovakian offense getting to work once more. Disc on the far sideline, trying to turn and isolate a reset. Oh, little push pass gets it away. Brave in this wind, and the disc is macked and tipped up and caught, and somehow nearly fell in the bread basket. Just about got away with it, the Latvians. You got to catch your D's, because in this wind, if you don't, it's going to pop back up and it's going to give a second chance shot at it.
Second, third, fourth chance. That one for the end zone.
Just about snuck over the head of the defender. Just saw it too late, couldn't get his hands up in time, and into the waiting hands of Racins.
What a string of events there. The series of the push pass, then the bounce, 6 people touch it, 5 people touch it, eventuates into a turnover, and then the deep that just goes over the Slovakian captain's head, right into the waiting hands of Rastins. Latvia capitalizes again on an unlucky turn for the Slovaks, a turn that was unlucky in the end because it bounced around so much, but sloppy is another word you could say. They were really trying to work in small spaces, not letting the cuts generate, not establishing the space that they need to really make meaningful gainers.
So the Latvians looking to build in the final quarter of this game, trying to finish the game strong. This is a very tough pool they found themselves in. As well as these two teams, we've got the Italian men, we've got Russia, and we've got Germany as well. So pretty formidable pool here that's come out of the draw for both these sides.
It's unbelievable how strong this pool really is. It's just going to get more difficult as the week goes on for both these teams before the redraw.
Yeah, the top 2 teams from each pool in the men's division go into power pools, and the bottom 3 go into lower pools, and then if you finish at the top of those pools, you can work your way into the pre-quarters, but obviously you want to finish in the top 2 in the pool, get into that power pool stage, really give yourself a more advantageous matchup. Going into the bracket, just bounces off the chest. Latvia think about the quick pickup. They're just going to walk over a little bit more calmly. Gisars. Throw rise a little bit, but it's caught by Betmanis. Tried to get it inside through, but was a little bit late on it, and Adam Ogorchak got his hands in the way.
Still a case of catch your D's. They got away with one there.
Yeah, I think he tried to, and it just slipped through his hands.
The crab claws couldn't compress.
Cibula. Nice low release. Oh, it's popped off the chest once more. It's a couple of times it's happened for Slovakia. Maybe just a little bit too much mustard on some of these throws. Could do with a bit more touch, perhaps. Tries to squeeze it into the middle of the pitch. Nidra. Looking around, tries to isolate the dump. Throw pops up, but Badmanis gets himself underneath it comfortably. Resets now to Minovs. Swung and all, just a bit too far. Sorenes couldn't get down there in time. Offense looked a little bit muddled, it has to be said. Jan Svarts picks up for Slovakia. Trying to find something downfield. Going to shoot that big, winding forehand deep, and it dropped pretty suddenly, but the Latvian defender got a better read and it had position. But there's going to be a bit of a stoppage here for a travel on the throw.
Travel on the throw, very similar read that we saw earlier in the game. The Slovakian receiver was playing the defender. The defender established position first. Receiver took his eye off of the disc to try and win the space battle, and in the end, nobody got a touch or a play at the disc. So good defense in the end.
So here's Bernans. Tries to lead a little IO pass through, but the window was maybe a bit too narrow and he couldn't sit it as much as he would have liked, and Slovakia going to get another shot. Here's Martin Cibula striding over towards the disc. Torenis puts on the mark. Oh, again, just looking downfield before the disc is completely in the hand. Adam Ogorchak with the block, with the drop that time.
A comedy of errors in this point thus far. They're not very neat. Let's see who tidies up their business first.
Yeah, 3 just focused drops from the Slovakians. Here's Branans. We've seen him have some creative throwing, but that's just going to be a little bit more conventional. Really trying to stretch the width of the field, the Latvians into the centre now. Here's Minovs. Minovs shooting a backhand deep, but I don't think this is ever going to come back in bounds. Left the pitch early and just...
Poor execution, but up until then, the Latvians were great on give and goes, catch and release. They moved it from one sideline to the other with a series of swings. And the deep in the end comes off with a bit too much mustard on it. A bit too much out, not enough in.
Yeah, this point's been pretty sloppy, it has to be said, from both sides. Maybe the heat getting to the players a little bit tired, and as well as being physically tired, you kind of you can lose your mental game a little bit. You just lose your focus, and that can cause some of these errors. Just about sneaks that through, and I like this call from Svarts taking the time out, because this point's got relatively ragged. So just taking the time to reset, I think, is a good move here.
They've got lots to think about. They've got the wind at their back now. Long field to go, but another good time for their timeout. If nothing else to celebrate in this game, the Slovakians can hang their head on choosing the most opportune moments to have a stop and chat about what's going on and how to fix it. Now they've just got to get better at putting their plan into action and scoring more goals when they're receiving pulls or coming out of timeouts with disc in hand.
Yeah, at the very least, they just need to regain their focus, because at the moment it seems to have deserted them. And you can see both teams in their huddle. Someone on the Latvian team has brought an umbrella into the fold, which I think is a good call. Always good to get some shade when the sun's beating down like it is today. It's been forecast to be warm temperatures all week, high 20s, low 30s. And that's going to be
30 seconds left.
It's going to be a bit of a struggle for teams to adjust to. Edgar's our cameraman, having to get some water on board, which is a good move. Got to stay hydrated in this weather. He's going to be a happy man, a native Latvian himself, so he'll be happy with how his compatriots have performed in this game.
Won't he ever?
So we just need to see if they can close it out.
We've got a wonderful crew here, as always. Alti TV crew coming to do the production for Fancy. We get great guys on cams, great guys behind the box. We've got people running stats and such. All these little jobs getting put into this production, making it look like a seamless, ultimate affair for you back at home. But a lot of work going in here, so thanks to all those hardworking cast and crew of this operation, just getting into the early stages of this tournament.
Yeah, and the commentators aren't half bad either.
Every now and again.
So here's Sabula for the Slovakians. Done a lot of the legwork on the handling effort for his side. Tries to squeeze that one through the middle, but a bit late. And Mihailovs was all over it. Latvians in no mood to hang around. Vetmanis resets to Gusars. Big underneath finds Minovs into the middle. Mihailovs got plenty of time to find Vetmanis on the break side, and Martin Storenis right at the front of the end zone extends the lead to 10 points, 12-2. The current score. Storenis, the oldest player on the side, but still got that passion and that fire to represent his country.
They're running away with it now, well and truly. Mihailov's got the D there. You saw the Latvians playing a very effective switch again. The side stack by the Slovakians was really just getting punished. They played the switch effectively. The unders were doubling up, a lot of cross traffic, and it turned into a very easy D for Mihailovs, and the Latvians capitalized nice and quick.
And you mentioned they're able to really clamp down on the unders, because we haven't seen that Slovakia put it deep that much, and when they have, the Latvians have, they've got the recovery speed, they've got that extra athleticism to close those gaps, and without a potent deep game, it means that these unders are really tough to fight for.
The body size too, I feel like the Latvians have the height advantage, and when it's going deep, we've seen a couple times the Slovakians just not even able to stay concentrated on the disc because they're too worried about trying to win the matchup if it does come to where they anticipate, or where the defender's anticipating. They're putting their instinct into the hands of their opponent and saying, okay, I'm just gonna try and beat this guy, but I'm gonna follow him around because I think he's got better position. I think he's got a better read than me.
So just under an hour on the clock in this game. Game's played to 90 minutes plus cap, or first to 15, and we'll probably reach the score cap before we reach the time cap in this game. But the thing with Ultimate is you never know. You do see these big comebacks, as unlikely as it may seem at this particular stage. Oh, went for the bid, but the disc was too far out in front. Looks like he lost his footing a little bit just as he was going for it. Unfortunate stuff from Timotej Hajduk. Podgorskis picks up, swing into the middle. Abaltins finds Egsnitis. Really moving around the mark, just about gets it off the wind, really whipping up a bit more, and it slips through the post box that Yasukevic gave it.
And Latvians slip into a zone.
Dish towards this near sideline. Sorovi has it at the moment, wearing that bucket hat. These front line of defenders in very close. Tries to just about squeeze it through. Stall count rising. Just about gets it off to the far side. That's a fantastic throw. And maybe they're just rushing it a little bit. Can he track it down into the back of the end zone? Yes, he can.
They ain't rushing the Slovakian. But
What?
they were not rushing it either.
I see what you. Sorry. So it's early in the morning, Steph.
All good. But what a beautiful throw on the high stall count, a saving grace for the Slovakians. It looked all but over, right in front of us, right in front of our cameras. The Latvian help defense there. They were playing a bit of a trap, an extra man in the lane right on the throw. And high stall count, and what a great outside-in backhand over to the captain, Prushak, who threw another immediate line drive of his own for the goal.
Yeah, Kusarik made the catch for the Slovakians, delivered on a plate for him, and talking of deliveries, he's got a daughter that's due a couple of days after EUC wraps up. So congratulations to Marcel Kutaruk.
All the best to you and your future package of joy.
Yeah, actually, you talked about Prusak with the throw. He's another player who's got a. He described it as he's got one daughter and he's got a second daughter loading, who's due in September as well, which I think is a lovely little turn of phrase.
Uploading, downloading. I guess downloading.
Probably, I'd say you probably down. Yeah.
Here come the Latvians.
Not gonna think too much about the specifics of that. Gussars has it. Tries to squeeze it through the middle of the pitch, and if you don't get height on those deep shots, it's gonna try and fight its way through the traffic, and it got run over. But there is going to be a stoppage for an injury. Orlovskis, who's a little bit banged up going into the weekend, is coming off the pitch.
Not sure what happened there. Maybe a niggle. He's walking gingerly, but took himself off the field on his own accord, so nothing of extreme gravity, so we can tell.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit precautionary. Mikhailovs takes his place and checks the ground. Cibula will bring it in for Slovakia from the far sideline and immediately swing into the centre of the pitch to Svarts. Oh, overthrown and just slapped dismissively to the ground by Nidra.
No time for that. That is a second error on the same point.
Just bobbled by Latvia, and Slovakia with good position here, looking for a break chance. Cibula looks it around. End zone coverage really tight. In the end, take advantage of a post to find Svarts. And looking downfield, not a lot going on. High release backhand towards the far side of the end zone.
Woo!
Finds the window, and it's a break for Slovakia. Maybe there's a little bit of life left in them here. 12-4, still a big deficit, but they're not going to go down without a fight.
2 in a row, first of its sort for the Slovaks, and we say it's a week of small victories for them. So maybe the comeback is a lofty ambition for them to know that they've got to go on a 11-2 run to win this game. That may be a bit ambitious, but to learn and to get better at preventing a team from winning is a very excellent skill, which will come in handy in tight games. And it's not always just about winning your games and holding your O's, but it's also about making it difficult. When other teams have that light at the end of the tunnel in sight, what can you do to make it further, to push it further away, to make it more difficult, to make it last 1 or 2 more points, and just put a little bit of doubt in their mind, and then the potential for the big avalanche truly exists.
So Slovakia, disc in hand, ready to pull. Motoring up with the backhand. It's going to land towards the end zone, not quite reaching it. Vedmanis swings into the center. And a zone look from the Slovakian defense. Again, just trying to throw something different at the Latvians, make them just have to adjust a little bit. Baranan swings to Vedmanis. Here's Torenis. Those two just playing a little bit of give-go in the backfield. Find a downfield option in Minovs, wearing that camo baseball hat. Mihailovs looks at the end zone, tries to laser a inside backhand through, but it just skims off the turf.
All sorts of space there, either side. I thought he was going to go for the early around outside in backhand. He waited for it to come back, and his inside out was just not executed to perfection.
So Latvia have lost their form a little bit in the late stages of this game and been able to close it out as effectively as you'd imagine they would have liked. Latvians sitting underneath baiting the deep shot a little bit. Cluttered cutting downfield, inside out forehand, gets to the middle of the pitch to Barkowski. Now they've got a yard gainer. Pruszak, the captain, takes the reset. Here's David Ogorczak. Oh, that throw is going to get taken by the wind, way too blady and mopped up easily by the Latvians, but another simple turf from Mihailov's, not his finest hour, it has to be said, and they're going to try and get it all in one, and the Slovaks give it right back. This is going a little bit ugly.
Getting a bit ugly. We talked about the wind. It is in play. It is a factor. However, I think both of those throws were very capable of being made. The wind didn't make that much of a difference. Time to sharpen up here for the Latvians specifically.
Gonna shoot a massive hammer early on to no one. I think Mihailov's was the closest man downfield, but
Hakandi.
Banan seems to have the energy still, waiting for Slovakia to get in position.
And he is ready to count delay of games, but they're up and running.
Taking a reset to start to David Ogorczak. There are two Ogorczaks on this team, both claiming to be the older brother, so not sure who I believe there.
Perhaps twins.
Yeah, but even if you're twins, someone's got to be younger, surely.
Yes, but I've heard this twin debate before that the first one out is older, the first delivered is older, but then they say the one that stays, that is the last one in, is the one that's been nurturing longer. So they're actually the older, but I've definitely met twins before that both claim that they are the older due to differing circumstance.
Okay, I can buy that excuse. A timeout called by Latvians on the far sideline after the Slovaks turned out of that far side. It's got a little bit ragged. So again, just taking the time to get yourself reset. We've seen them draw up pretty effective set plays already this game, so maybe it's another chance to get that going is not a bad call.
So we saw the Latvians with 12 points with about 51 minutes, was it?
It was certainly about, yeah, these past few points have really dragged on a little bit.
The two in a row for Slovakia and this one have probably amounted to about 15 minutes. The Latvians have not been able to put a goal on the board, and that's exactly what I was talking about, is Latvians thought it was all but done. They had the victory in their sight, and Slovakia is not letting them win. There is a small case of the Latvians shooting themselves in the foot here and taking the foot off the gas. They thought they made it to their final destination, but some late traffic.
And it is difficult to keep your foot on the gas if it has a bullet hole in it. So both sides just talking through maybe some final late game adjustments. I think that umbrella looks pretty good to me. We've got a pretty fetching watermelon parasol over our computer, trying to keep it in the shade, prevent it from overheating.
Best looking parasol in the business.
It's not a bad look, is it? It's not bad. And I think we'll see a lot of teams trying to desperately work out how to get some shade cover in between these games and these timeouts, especially when you get towards the heat of the day, the 1:15, the 11:15 game rounds, when you're right under the midday sun.
Yeah, it's only getting hotter. These early starts are hot already. It is hot out there. I feel the pain. These are fine-tuned athletes. They train long and hard to be able to perform in these conditions.
I guess the one mercy is that it's not overly humid. The heat is stifling, but it's not necessarily a wet, heavy heat that can be just completely oppressive. So Barnans is going to bring the disc in off this timeout for the Latvians. He's checked in and just swung into the centre to begin the possession to Martin Skusas. Little dish up line, and a poached defender comes flying through. Just a little bit cluttered. Two players went to the same space, and maybe one pulled out thinking the other was going to get in, and it allowed the defender to steal through for Slovakia.
In the case of the Latvians trying to be a bit too cute, and the Slovakians just charging a little bit and finding their legs.
Hajduk looks around. Little lead throw is going to be too far out in front, so another chance at this for Latvia. Betmanis will bring the disc in. Getting pretty active on that faking around. Baranans finds Minovs. Underneath comes Gusars. Fakes the hammer, puts it back in the locker for now though. Here's Baranans once more. Zorenis is really poached on the near side of the field, finds him very well, utilising that space. Gusars to Zorenis, really inching their way up the field at the moment, the Latvians.
Great goal in the end there, Mihailovs cashes it in. Latvia really needed that one. They've, for me to say they really needed something with a 13-4 scoreline seems absurd, but after that drought of scoring, that's what they needed to be able to put this one away. 1 point closer now, 13-4, game to 15. Latvia puts one on the board after a small drought in the action from their scoring side of the perspective.
And it's pretty easy to have a drought when it's this hot outside, I reckon. This is definitely going to be a factor as we get into the late stage of the tournaments. We see just a replay of the goal there. It's going to be you'll see how well teams can really use the depth of their rosters, make sure that everyone is as fresh as they can possibly be by the time we get towards the end of the tournament. Played a full week of games. Teams will have picked up a couple of injuries. You're going to be a little bit exhausted. Maybe you haven't slept quite as well as you would do at home, so utilising the full depth of your roster across the week is going to be vital in these conditions.
And you see Malderis took a few points off there. He's back on. Those are the kind of things. Sometimes you want to rest your players. You can dispose of this low-ranked team now that we've got a 10-point lead with our extras. But sometimes you try and it doesn't work, and you got to get those hot shots back on the field. They're pivotal no matter who you're playing. Big shot, too big. Length of the field and some, Benji.
Wanted to get it all over relatively quickly, but just rushed it a little bit, didn't have the execution they would have liked, and Abeltinch will pick up now for Latvia to put them only 1 point away from a victory. He marches it to the front line.
Very traditional vertical set, two handlers.
He's going to take a swing to begin the possession to Bogorskis. Here's Malderis.
Great wind-up.
You see him using those long limbs, keeping his form. There's going to be a pick here when Erdsnitis came off the front of the stack.
Did well to hang on to that with two hands, with the wind gusting and coming cross-body. It had almost got past him. He caught with two hands across his chest.
Yeah, the Latvians going against the wind in this direction. Certainly the trickier of the two sides. Maybe that's why we saw the Slovakians overshoot that deep shot. The wind just taking it maybe a bit more than he had anticipated. Running some give-go to get the disc back to Malderis in the handler set. The throws off target and slapped down to the ground. Just going to make sure that Otisant, who was lurking behind, couldn't make the catch. Cibula picks up quickly into the centre of the pitch. Finds Stankovic. Back to Cibula. Looking around. Fakes the around backhand, swung into the centre, and a layout bid from Willemsens. He's going to get the disc back for Latvia.
And he is off and running. Will he get the huck? No, he won't. Not right away anyways.
I wanted to go coast to coast, but maybe in that direction, that's not quite the throw that's going to come. It's going to sit this time, and he steadies himself and makes the catch. Player comes off the dump and just swings now all the way across the pitch. Abeltinch. Back to Podgorskis. Ahead Erdsnitis. Not really gaining much yards downfield at the moment. Going to be a travel call on Podgorskis. This is going to go back. You can see there just on that just little pass how the wind just varied the level a little bit.
Moving it around Like the disc was in a little elevator shaft sometimes.
Cibulka checks the disc back in, and now working it down the far sideline with Otisons. Tries to isolate the reset. Defender bites on the dump, and it allows the upline throw to go, trying to squeeze it into Malderis, but it's too far out in front for him. Looked like he wanted to bid, but could never quite ready himself.
Couldn't get quite close enough. That throw was just a bit too far in front. A possession gone awry for the Latvians. We saw Williamsons with the layout D that gave him the opportunity for the possession. I want to give some credit to the upfield defense there. I had an ISO cam of my own eyes on the stack in the end zone, and there was some great switching. They were taking the lane on the open side with 2 men under. It was the Latvian defense was very, very strong. We'll see if we get another look and taste of that now.
And with the disc going out of bounds early for Latvia and not coming back in, Slovakia is going to steal a few more yards of field position, and they're going to take another timeout, their final timeout of the game here.
Slovaks, I can't stop but repeating what I said earlier about them finding some metal, finding a way to extend this game, taking small victories. They've got to learn. They've got to get better with every game, and right now I believe that's exactly what they're doing. They got washed for a great percentage of this game, where the Latvians scored in leaps and bounds, and they were just putting up goals with little resistance for a long run there. And the tail part of this game, the Slovakians maybe haven't got the wood on them, but they're just making it very difficult for them now.
I mean, we talked in the start of the game how this is the first Slovakian team in the men's division at EUC for 12 years, and obviously it's nice to see them back. In their preparation tournaments, things necessarily haven't gone so well in terms of results. They have played the Russian Open team at Windmill, who were obviously, as we mentioned, in the same pool, and they lost there, and they didn't have a great Windmill in terms of score lines finishing down the Swiss draw rankings, but they did emerge in a top in another category, Spirit of the Game winners, which is, so it's good to see a young a newer program kind of rising out of the ashes a little bit, but still, even if the results on field aren't what they want, they're still playing in the right way, in the right manner.
It's wonderful news. This Slovakian team with the Spirit win is great. They are a team that has little experience internationally, continentally. They only have 2 or 3 players that do any club playing outside of the country. They've got Joskevich, who is their Kiwi import. He's a Slovak, but he's playing. Sorry, that's Bakrati. Reading the wrong number 9 there. Martin Bakrati is their Kiwi import. He's a Slovakian native, of course, but has been spending a lot of time in New Zealand playing there and is back for this tournament, and they're happy to have him. So he's got some international experience, as does Stankovic, does some club play in Austria. Other than that, this team does has got all their experience playing internally, club system in Slovakia, which is assuredly a smaller system than any of the other countries they're facing in this tournament.
And a couple of these players have represented Slovakia before on the international stage, but in the mixed division rather than in men's. And there's just some adjustments in the playing style, perhaps, that can take a little bit of time to figure out at this level.
Start play.
We hear the whistle calling play to start. 13-4, late game action.
Just about sneaks it past the bidding Otisons, and Ogorchak puts deep.
Travel called, but it doesn't matter because of the turn. Malderes the other way.
Yeah, it's going to be retracted. Oh, the throw overdone. Ogorchak tried to catch it, bounced off his hands, but that doesn't matter defensively. Cibula inside, flick into the middle. Ogorchak with a rushed throw. He's just going to sit out this sideline, and he knows that was not his finest hour.
Not at all. He's had a few mishaps in this game. None more obvious than that. Great catch. He was the one who made the D earlier, which was a Catcher D, he dropped it, as you said, Benji, didn't matter, but to get the next throw and throw it so quickly with so little balance in his mechanic, not his finest moment.
So the Latvians now working downfield with Malderis.
Dzidzis.
Fakes a backhand, tries to isolate a dump. Instead, able to find Podgorskis going up line.
There should be a poach.
And they're going to put it deep. It's going to blade towards this near sideline, right on the money for Abeltinch. 14-4, the Latvians 1 point away from a win now.
So after a long stretch of a bit of sloppy play from both sides, the Latvians end that point with a dime dropping for a goal. That was a beautiful throw in this wind to score. Latvia now really with their foot on the gas. Time to drive that last mile to the finish line.
So the Latvians 1 point away from a win. Slovakia obviously will try and just extend this game a little bit more.
The more they can play, the better. Prevent them from winning.
And for Latvia, there's a saying as well that good teams finish on defense. Rather than just waiting for the other team to score and put it on an O-line, see if you can get that final break, really put your opponent to the sword. So with the disc in his hands, ready to pull is Aldavis Williamsons for Latvia. He's a player who's been at a high level for a while, but he's had a little bit of a problem with checkered injury history, and there was a time when it looked like he wouldn't be fit in time for EUC, so it's very good to see him playing and representing his country here in Hungary and playing very well as well. Goes with a backhand pull with a little bit of voluptuous inside-out shape. It's going to land in bounds, trap them right in coffin corner on the windy sideline. Sorovi swings, Kuzarek. Oh, just about. Van Tyduk. Reset back to Bakrati. Fakes an inside forehand. Looking around, tries to isolate Sorovi. And eventually just about gets it free with that high release. Now looking underneath. The wind really whipping against him here. Oh, he's just going to bounce off his hands, but he did a very good job of tracking it. And now he's going to put it deep. It's going to sit and it's going to float. And it's going to go towards this sideline, and Malzeris picks that one up. Barans now has the disc, and the Latvians can finish it here if they can convert on this possession.
Game point possession.
Just behind their own brick mark. Going to shoot big, looking for Branans. He's going to track it all the way towards the near side of this end zone. And Latvia will finish the game 15-4 winners over Slovakia.
Latvia win, Latvia win, Latvia win. As per expectations, Benji, the Slovaks came and put a tiny little bit of heat at the start of the game. They brought another bit of heat at the end of the game and prevented the Latvians from making it a complete steamrolling. But the Latvians in the end did look much stronger in this game and get the win they needed to go on in this very difficult division.
Yeah, just proved their class in the end. And as you said, the Slovakians made it a little bit difficult for them. The Latvians will look at that and look to adjust. Say, okay, what can we do in future games? Maybe we can adapt to the wind a bit better. And Slovakia, even if they've lost the game, don't lose the lesson necessarily. They'll have learned something from this game, and hopefully they can take that into their future group games and then later on into the tournament and try and turn that into some results on the stat sheet. So that's going to bring an end to the game here. Do stay tuned. Steph's going to stay here bringing you action from the mixed division, Poland versus Belarus alongside Joanna Hamer. But in the meantime, at the end of this game for our OTTV crew, I've been Benji Reese.
And I am Stefan Rapazzo.
And we will see you on the other side.